Today, we're diving into something that literally changed the game for web development, Ruby on Rails. And look, it's not just about the code itself. The real story here is the philosophy behind it, this whole new way of thinking that just turned everything on its head.
I mean, think about this question. Seriously, before Rails came along, if you had a great idea for a web app, you were looking at months, maybe even longer, of just grueling work. It was so slow. Rails shows up and asks, hey, what if we could do that in weeks instead? And the crazy part? It actually delivered.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at the world before Rails, what the big problem was. Then, we'll get into its simple but brilliant philosophy and how it's structured. After that, we'll see the magic in action, how it lets you build so fast. And finally, we'll talk about the huge legacy it's left behind.
Okay, so to really get why Rails was such a big deal, we got to turn back the clock. We're talking about the dark ages, before 2004. Building for the web back then was, well, let's just say it was an exercise in extreme patience, or more often, just pure frustration.
And this really hits the nail on the head. Imagine you're an architect with this amazing vision for a house, but before you can even lay the first brick, you have to go invent the hammer and forge every single nail from scratch. That's what it felt like. Developers were spending almost all their time on boring, repetitive setup, not on building the cool features that actually mattered. Your great idea was basically stuck in neutral.
And then, into this mess of complexity steps Ruby on Rails. It was like a breath of fresh air. It came with this totally different idea, an approach built on two things that were kind of revolutionary at the time: simplicity and, get this, making developers happy.
And this whole philosophy, it came straight from the guys who made it. First, you've got Yukihiro Matsumoto, or Mats. He created the Ruby language with one simple goal: to make programmers happy. Then you have David Heinemeier Hansson, DHH. He was building his own product, Basecamp, and got so fed up with the slow process that he built Rails on top of Ruby to solve his own problem. His goal wasn't just to build one app, it was to create a system to build any web app way faster. So this leads us to the first massive, game-changing idea from Rails: convention over configuration. The old way, the configuration way, meant you had to make 1,000 tiny decisions and write tons of setup code for everything. It was exhausting. Rails just flipped the script. It said, hey, 90% of the time you're going to do things this way, so let's just make that the default. These conventions mean you can just start building. You focus on what makes your app special, not on the plumbing.
And the second core idea is just as brilliant, and you've probably heard of it: DRY, for don't repeat yourself. The concept is super simple. Basically, if you have a piece of code that does one specific thing, you should only have to write it once. Why is that a big deal? Well, it means less code to write, which is always good, but more importantly, it means fewer places for bugs to hide. And when you need to change something, you change it in one spot, not 50. It makes everything so much easier to manage.
Okay, so we've got these great philosophies, but how does Rails actually organize everything to make it all work so smoothly? Well, the secret sauce is a classic design pattern called MVC, or Model View Controller. It sounds a bit technical, but trust me, it's a really elegant way to keep your code from becoming a tangled mess. Let's break it down.
All right, first up is the model. The easiest way to think about the model is that it's the chef in a restaurant. This is the brain of your application. It knows all the recipes, that's your business logic, and it's the only one allowed to go into the pantry, which is your database. The model's job is to prepare the data, but it has no idea what the final plate will look like. It just handles the core stuff.
Next up, the view. And if the model is the chef, the view is all about presentation. It's the final plate that gets delivered to the customer. The view's only job is to take the data it's handed and make it look good for the user. It doesn't know how the food was cooked, it just knows how to arrange everything beautifully. It's the user interface.
And who connects these two? That's the controller. The controller is your waiter. A user makes a request, that's the order. The waiter takes that order to the kitchen, gives it to the chef, the model. The chef prepares the data. Then the waiter picks it up and takes it to the view to be plated and presented. The controller is the crucial middleman, the traffic cop. And this separation is what's so genius about it. It keeps everything neat and tidy.
So let's walk through a request from start to finish. You, the user, click a link. Boom! That request hits the Rails router, which is like a switchboard operator. It sends it to the right controller. The controller, our waiter, goes to the model, the chef, and says, hey, I need the data for this article. The model goes to the database, gets the info, and hands it back.
The controller then takes that data, passes it off to the view, which builds the final HTML page. And that page gets sent right back to your browser, a super clean logical flow that happens in a split second.
Okay, so we've got the why, the philosophy, and the how, the architecture. But let's get to the really good stuff. How does this actually make you a faster developer? This is where the whole Rails motto, write less, do more, stops being a slogan and becomes a reality.
Just look at this. One line of code, resources articles. In any other framework back then, to get all the web pages you need to manage articles, a page to see them all, create a new one, edit one, delete one, you'd be writing file after file of configuration. A ton of work. In Rails, this one line does it all. It automatically creates 7 different routes for you. That is the magic of convention over configuration. It's just done. And then there's ActiveRective. Honestly, this is a developer's best friend. It's what's called an ORM. Now, that's a mouthful, but all it really means is that you almost never have to write raw database code, that messy SQL stuff. Instead, ActiveRective lets you talk to your database using simple, beautiful Ruby. It completely removes one of the biggest headaches in web development. So you can see why Rails just exploded in the startup world, right? If you had an idea, you could build a prototype and get it in front of users faster than anyone else. It was the ultimate unfair advantage. But here's the thing. It didn't just stay a tool for startups. Its legacy is so much bigger than that. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at the giants that were built on Rails. We're talking about companies that are household names. GitHub, the backbone of software development. Shopify, which powers a huge chunk of online commerce. Airbnb, Hulu. These aren't little websites. These are massive, global applications that prove Rails can absolutely scale.
What's really fascinating is how the ideas from Rails just spread like wildfire. The creators of frameworks in completely different languages like Django for Python or Laravel for PHP looked at what Rails was doing and said, hey, that's a really good idea. So this focus on developer happiness, the MVC structure, Rails didn't just build a framework, it set the standard for what a modern framework should be. So, what about today? Where does Rails stand? Well, sure, if you're doing super heavy data science, you might reach for something like Django, and Laravel is an absolute beast in the PHP ecosystem. But Rails still has its throne. It is still the undisputed king of getting things done fast. If you're a startup, building a new SaaS product, or just any team that wants to move quickly and write code that's a joy to work with, Rails is still an amazing choice.
When you boil it all down, the true legacy of Rails isn't the code. It's the shift in mindset it created. Before Rails, the idea that developer happiness was a valuable business metric was kind of laughable. Rails proved them all wrong. It showed the world that if you create tools that developers love to use, you don't sacrifice power or scalability. In fact, you get there faster.
And that brings us to a really interesting place to end. The Rails revolution was all about putting the developer first. Their time, their happiness, their productivity. So it makes you wonder, what's next? What's the next big revolution in building software going to value? Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in.